Alright, this next section is pretty much making sure you know your key features to your parabola, making sure you know your vocabulary and applying it on a graph. So I'm not going to ask you to recite. I might ask you to locate something on a graph that's related to your vocabulary, or to answer questions based on the given graph. Okay, so this is just a little word bank. These are the expressions or the words or the terms that you need to know. Okay, and it's going to be in relationship to analyzing a quadratic equation. So our first one, I'm going to go over the vocabulary for sure to make sure you're on the right track, and then we'll look at a couple together. So standard form for a quadratic equation, that is y equals the a x squared plus bx plus c. Okay, the shape of the quadratic equation is called a parabola. Now, 13 and 14, they want you to get the answer from the graph. So I'm not sure if you understand. 13, this little box is referring to this red line that's cutting this parabola in half, which is our line of symmetry. So this is our axis of symmetry. I'm just going to abbreviate that. Or we can say AOS, because that's how I abbreviate it. Okay, axis of symmetry. And so far we've used standard form, we use parabola, and we use axis of symmetry. I probably should go ahead and write it all the way out. Okay. All right, now this for number 4, the box here, I don't know if you can tell, but the box is actually pointing to this point on the graph. All right, down here, that's the lowest point or the turning point of the parabola. That point is your vertex. So, okay, this is your vertex. So you do need to know when that vertex is a max or when it would be a min. So hopefully you can see it on the graph or based on its description. Okay, so if you go to the next page, all right, we've already used standard form, we've already used axis of symmetry, we've used parabola, okay, and we've used vertex. So when the vertex is the highest point of the graph, that is called a maximum. Okay. And when our vertex is the lowest point of the graph, it is a minimum. Our solutions are the x-intercepts. Okay. And solutions are also called zeros or roots. Okay. So we've used all our terms. So now I'm just going to ask you to find these parts on a graph. So the graph at time is going to be given to you. So like on a problem like number 19 here, the axis of symmetry, remember, it's where it cuts the parabola in half. So if you kind of hopefully see that right here, I can create my axis of symmetry. And it's always a vertical line. Okay, remember vertical lines, Lux, have the V for vertical, use undefined slope, and have x equals a number. That's the equation. So that number is where it touches the x-axis. So this would be x equals, my x doesn't look like x equals 3 here. Your vertex, that is our lowest point here. This is the lowest point. It's a point where it goes through the axis of symmetry. And that point is at 3, -2. And since it's the lowest point, it is a minimum. Now, we're going to get into when domains could maybe not be our real numbers, but because we have a quadratic and a quadratic keeps going, unless for some reason I change these arrows to a different circle or something like that. But for this, we just remember all quadratics, the domain is always all real numbers. Okay. Now the next thing they want us to do is find the range. The range is in a relationship of that minimum value, which is the y value. This is the lowest point right here. So this graph is all pointing up. So this is y is greater than or equal to -2. And remember, our roots are the solutions, And those solutions are where it touches the x-axis. It's your x-intercepts. Okay, so it's the same thing. So our roots here happen at when x is 2 and 4. So I'm just going to write underneath here, x equals 2. We did this. We just did some practice of this, x equals 4. Okay, so you're going to do number 20 here. Now, 21, the graph is missing. So make sure you know how to use your calculator to get to that graph so you can get your answers. It's already in y equals. Okay, so whether it's y equals is calculator, or if it's f of x, it's calculator too. And so I'm just going to go back to that calculator. I'm going to clear out what we had before. And we're just going to type the equation, which is parentheses. We have a x minus 5, close the parentheses. So minus 5, close the parentheses, and then we're going to square it. And then we have plus 3. Okay? And we'll look at the graph. There it is right there. So it's opening up, and I can now see it has a minimum. And let's just recap how you can get that minimum with the calculator. So if you hit second trace, yep, choose number 3, minimum. Remember the cursor, so right now it's saying left bound, needs to be on the left side. My cursor right now is by 28. That's way up here. So I am going in the wrong direction. Those numbers are getting bigger, so I need to get smaller. And as I keep getting smaller, now the cursor is revealing itself. So I want to be to the left. I'm going to hit enter there. Right bound, so I need to be on the other side. Hit enter and again. And we can see this is the order pair 5, 3. So we're going to plot that point. We're going to, if you look, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1, 2, 3. There's our point. And remember, our axis of symmetry goes through that vertex. Now, for me, I'm going to make this point black again. Sorry. For me to see more points to actually sketch the graph, so remember, you can get that point from your table. So if you hit second graph, we need 5, 3, which is way down here. So I'm just going to go up a little bit. Oh, I'm going to go down a little bit so I can get my 5, 3 in the middle. And I want to see the pattern. So here's my 5, 3. That's the vertex. Some people call this like the rainbow effect, so because it reflects on the other side. So I have a 4, and then a 7, and then a 12. They keep going, 19. So I just need the 2 above and 2 below. So we have 4 and 7. Okay. So I'm just gonna do the next 2, which is 6, 4, and 7, 7. Because I'll remember your axis of symmetry is a line of reflection. So I'm gonna go over 6, up 4, plot that point, and then 7, 7, plot that point. And remember, our axis of symmetry is a reflection of these points. So from this dotted line, if I'm 1 point to the right, then I have to just reflect 1 point to the left. Again, if this is 2 units to the right from this line, 1 point, now it's 2 points, 2 sections, sorry. Now we got 2 in the other direction. And then we can sketch our graph through these points. Doesn't have to be scale. But now we can answer our questions. We need to have the graph so we can answer our questions. Our axis of symmetry here is x equals 5. Our vertex was our 5, 3. Again, this had a minimum. Our domain is all real numbers. Our range, our graph is pointing up. So anything is pointing up, it's greater than or equal to. So it's y is greater than or equal to. What is the minimum y value? Look at your y coordinate, or you can look across on the y-axis. It's greater than or equal to 3. And remember, your zeros, or your solutions, or your roots, these are all the same, but it's when it crosses the x-intercept. When it crosses the x-axis, it's an x-intercept. So does this graph touch the x-axis? No, it does not. Okay, so if it doesn't, it is no solution. I heard some of y'all say that. All right, so you can just put the symbol if you want to. All right, so from here, now we're gonna do the same thing, we're going to do calculator application. So if you don't have a calculator at home, that's 84 calculator or calculator 84, the free app, you can use your Desmos. I'll show it on both. So that will be our next video. Thanks for taking care of this.